We all know that Star Wars Outlaws is slated to release in late August, so before it comes out, I wanted to make a video kind of about the lore side of things we're getting in Star Wars, like some of the characters we're going to be playing as and seeing, alongside with the new planets and factions and anything else pertaining to the lore of Star Wars Outlaws. So that's what we're going to be looking at in this video. So it won't be so much in terms of gameplay and how the game looks. I think it looks great, but this video is going to be focusing on the lore of Star Wars Outlaws, so let's get into it. Starting off with the main character Kay Vess, who is a scoundrel and emerging outlaw within the Star Wars underworld. And of course she's the main character, so I'm not going to focus too much on her, but one of her companions is Nix. Her best and loyal companion since she was young, the Mirqual will follow your orders and is overall a great friend. New species inside of Star Wars universe, so that's pretty cool. And then we got Jalen Vrax, who's a charming and well-connected outlaw, and he's been running heists and smuggling rings independent of the major crime syndicates for quite some time, and I think Kay is one of his newest pupils within the underworld of Star Wars. More or less, this is the mentor character, and that's where we get ND5, who is a modified BX commando droid originally built by the Separatists during the Clone Wars, and he was deployed to dozens of front lines across the galaxy. And then he came into the hands of Jalen Vrax and is working for him and subsequently working for Kay, or with Kay, I should say. And then the main villain is Slero, who is a wealthy crime lord and leader of the deadly Zarek Besh crime syndicate, taking advantage of the chaos within the galaxy, and they are based out of Kanto, and again that is Slero, the main character, and he hires one of his bounty hunters, Vale, who is one of the most skilled bounty hunters in the Outer Rim, and was recently hired by Slero of Zarek Besh to track down Kay. And then since it is a Star Wars game, we're going to get a number of cameos and Star Wars characters within some of the bigger factions that I'm going to be going over, but we are going to get Jabba the Hutt, and of course everyone knows who he is. We also get quick glimpses of Kira, who is from Crimson Dawn and was in the Solo movie. And then also we get a quick look at Lando. Of course he's an outlaw and an opportunist, and we see him gambling in Sabacc, so I'm sure there's going to be a couple moments where we see him. And then also we get to see Han Solo in Carbonite and Bib Fortuna at Jabba's palace. So lots of Star Wars characters, lots of clan leaders and gang members that we're going to be seeing across the Star Wars Outlaws video game, so it should be a good time for a lot of new characters. And then I'm sure there's going to be about one or two bigger cameos from within this game as well. Alright, and we're going to be moving on to factions in Star Wars Outlaws. So far there's about 6, and of course I just got done talking about characters, and these are where a lot of our new characters are going to be coming from, is all these different factions within the criminal underworld. But starting off with the Ashiga clan, which was a criminal syndicate active during the Imperial era and was based out of Kiji, and is also brand new to the Star Wars universe, or at least we're seeing them for the first time in some essence in the Star Wars universe. And then we're getting Crimson Dawn, which is of course a syndicate that was once led by Sith Lord Maul and is now being ran by Kira, and I'm very excited to see what aspects they add to the game and if Maul can even make an appearance due to the timeline of the game. And then of course, since Jabba the Hutt is in the game, the Hutt cartel, of course they made their riches through smuggling and a myriad of illegal businesses. So bounty hunters, Tatooine, Hutt cartel. So we're going to get more Hutts. And then there's also a new criminal syndicate, Zarek Besh, which is being ran by Slero, one of the newer criminal syndicates, of course coming from his crime family on Kanto, where they are encroaching on everyone's territory during the reign of the Galactic Empire. And then of course we're also getting the Pikes, the spice traffickers, or the spice cartel that operated in the criminal underworld in Star Wars. Definitely should get a lot from them, and of course we've seen them all across Star Wars, so it's good to see them in Star Wars Outlaws. And then of course we're going to have the Galactic Empire, keeping control and order within the galaxy, or at least trying to do their best. But of course the Empire is going to be in a Star Wars game, and I definitely think there are going to be a couple other smaller factions we'll end up seeing, and of course each group will have a reputation system associated with them. So when you meet a lot of different members or characters throughout the game, you're going to be deciding which criminal syndicate you want to work with, more or less. And of course the Empire will always hunt you down. I do think one of the interesting factions that they've left out of this game is the Rebels, and of course there's been no hint at all that Kay is going to be a rebel, nor do I want her to be, but I definitely think they will have at least some sort of presence inside of the game. And then with all of these different characters and factions in Star Wars Outlaws, of course we're going to have a wide array of Star Wars planets to explore, and of course this is where all of these characters and factions are going to be located. So far we know about 5 planets that we're going to get in Star Wars Outlaws, and we're going to start off with the brand new one being created by Massive, and that is Toshara, which is a dangerous savanna moon shaped by strong winds and is a hotbed for crime and corruption. It is known as the gem of the underworld and a pirate haven, and certainly lots of interesting things are going to happen on the Frontier moon. So this is definitely one of the more interesting planets because it's being added to the Star Wars universe through Star Wars Outlaws being built up by Massive. Definitely looking forward to exploring this planet. Up next we have Akiva, which is a jungle planet in the Outer Rim with a thriving black market and growing rebellion. Its remote asteroid fields surrounding the planet keep it off the Empire's radar. So we've heard of Akiva in a novel, I believe, but Akiva will also be coming to life for the first time in Star Wars. Then we're getting Kiji, which is a cold frozen planet where the Ashiga crime syndicate have ruled for generations. A frigid mountainous planet that is home to Kiji City. And the city was once considered a religious stronghold with its great temples and halls, before becoming a victim to raids and overthrows, and saw various factions rule the city throughout its history. So we've seen this in the new Rey trilogy, I forget which one, but it does get destroyed by the First Order in one of the movies. So we've seen little bits and pieces of it, but also I think this is going to be the best representation of Kiji that we're going to be getting in Star Wars, and with all of the different factions on it, I'm sure that this is going to be a contention point for all of the criminal syndicates. And then up next we're getting Kankatica, not Cantonica, Kankatica, as I believe how you pronounce it, but it is a desert planet in the corporate sector and home to the casino city Kanto Bight, which again we also see in Star Wars The Last Jedi is where I believe we get to see it. And alongside with its top-notch entertainment, criminal connections, and imperial favors, the casino city sits on the Sea of Kankatica within the corporate sector. So we've seen a little bit of Kankatica before, with Finn and, is it Rose? That's her name? Yeah, we've seen a little bit of Kankatica in the casino city. This is a great setting for Star Wars Outlaws, and it's also home to Slero, the villain, and his criminal syndicate, Zarek Besh. So I think so far with those 4 planets, those are some of the 4 new ones that we're getting. And then of course we're getting Tatooine, which is a barren desert planet under heavy influence by the crime lord Jabba the Hutt. And the locations we're going to get are Mos Eisley, Jabba's palace, and alongside with the Dune Sea being explorable, and this is possibly going to be the best representation of Tatooine besides the movies, and definitely within a video game, because so far I think we've gotten plenty of different video games with Tatooine, but I think this one can be the definitive best one. And then of course there's tons of locations that I'm sure we're going to be discovering throughout the game. Hopefully we'll get maybe one planet where one mission occurs on and you just travel to it for that singular mission. That's kind of what I expect out of Star Wars Outlaws, is a couple one-off planets that we're visiting that aren't fully explorable. And then I'm interested to know with the flying in the game, if there's going to be any space stations that we can port at, refuel, get some missions, and if that space station kind of travels. And then again, also in Star Wars Outlaws, we're getting plenty of new ships, weapons, blasters, and creatures as well. So we're definitely looking forward to all of the different and the wide array of just Star Wars lore that we're getting. And of course, Kay Vess's ship is the Trailblazer, which is a EML 850 light freighter from the Republic era, and then she also has a SA-87 Cardinal Speeder. So I'm pretty sure that those are the 2 vehicles we're going to be getting to use, and I'm sure there's going to be some upgrades associated with that. But again, we're going to be traveling across the galaxy in space combat with the Trailblazer, and then exploring planets on Kay's speeder bike. So there's certainly a lot to look forward to, and I'm certainly looking forward to Star Wars Outlaws. So if there's anything that I missed so far in terms of a lore setting for it, I just kind of wanted to give you guys a brief overview of what we can expect in Star Wars Wars Outlaws from, you know, characters, planets, creatures, a little bit more of the lore side of things. But so far the game looks great, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. After playing Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, I hope we get the same detailed open world, but just in Star Wars. And then if you played any of the Vision games, the third-person shooting should be pretty good for Star Wars Outlaws. But with that, that is a quick lore guide of Star Wars Outlaws. Comment down below what I missed, subscribe if you would like, and until next video, goodbye.